So tonight I thought we would cover the 11 mindset shifts of an entrepreneur. And I know a lot of us, we struggle with this. I still do myself too. It's hard to stay positive every second, all the time. We have peaks and troughs, and it's normal to, dip down, right? And it's okay to feel, and it's okay to feel sad. But it's how long we stay down there, right? That when we do dip a little bit, how long do we stay? How long do we react for? Because it's really what determines our character is how we come out of that slump, right? And being an entrepreneur, guys, you are going against the grain, probably of, your family, your 9 to 5, all the things that we've been taught in school. It's a lot of deprogramming, really. So I put together, and this is also what's in our mindset vault, but I put it in like a slide presentation so that you guys can all follow along in kind of less dry way, right? And I'm going to share a little story. I have a TikTok story that I think is goes really well with this lesson. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get going. Let me make sure my sound is on for that too. Okay, hang on. I'm just going to close some of these things. And here we go. Okay, 11 entrepreneur mindset shifts, excuse me, that unlock growth, confidence, and sales. Okay, so number one, there's 11, but you know what? There's a lot, guys, but these are the ones that I think are really, really important. So number one, choosing your mentors wisely. Okay, and I am not the expert, but I appreciate everybody coming in and listening to what I have to offer because I share what I've learned and I share information. Okay, so you may think of me as a mentor, but I think every mentor needs to have a mentor, and I do. And that's one thing I've learned is never receive mentorship from someone who doesn't have a mentor. Okay, so that's something to take to heart. But it's the way I like to think about it is like, don't take business advice from someone who isn't really maybe making the kind of income you want, or maybe they don't even have the lifestyle that you want. Because if you think about it, they come on, we've got a lot of these six-figure earners and they're awesome. We're inspired by them. But maybe they're making a ton of money, and you see it on the screen and their lifestyle looks great, but then maybe they're really miserable at home. They're overworked, right? And we understand how that is. Maybe they're just like really stuck to some kind of crazy business model where it's like, 14-hour days. And so they have like no time for their family. And so that's why I'm like, make sure that, who you're taking advice from, especially in business, is having boundaries and balance in their lifestyle, especially like the core values, right? Remember that. That's what we talked about that a lot. Making sure that your core values align with who your mentor is, right? So we talked about that, learning from mentors that literally just aid in, or sorry, align with their financial and lifestyle goals. So that's what I was saying. If somebody has a ton of money, but they have like no freedom, they work 100 hours a week and they never see your family, like that's not really maybe the mentor you want to follow, right? So ask yourself, have you ever taken advice from someone who wasn't where you wanted to be? Yeah, how did that work out, right? I think we've all done it in our life. So here's number two. Number two mindset shift. I think I'm going to say mess up that word a lot tonight. I hope I don't, but you know what I'm saying. Stop seeking validation. Trust yourself. Okay. This is something we all deal with, especially in this digital marketing space. Okay. Because, we get all excited. Maybe you're the entrepreneur, but maybe your wife or your husband or your partner isn't. Okay. So sometimes our loved ones aren't always our best supporters, right? They have the best intentions for us, but they don't see the vision, right? They aren't the entrepreneurial mindset. Their advice is really rooted in safety, not success. So they worry for us, right? But if we keep waiting for their approval, we're never going to move forward. Okay. So that's the common scenario that we see a lot. Well, I want to do it, but I got to talk to my husband first, or I got to talk to my girlfriend, or I got to talk to my partner, whatever that is. And so I want you to be understanding that you have the decision to make it that choice, right? Obviously, there's some situations that are very sensitive and you need to talk to your partner, right? But generally it comes down to trusting yourself, okay? And we find that a lot of times they're not supportive, right? So what do we say when they don't get it? Okay, so I just gave you some kind of script. You don't have to say this exactly, but it's something you can say that might feel kind of heartfelt and it might help you explain yourself a little bit better to them, but also setting yourself up like, listen, I want to do this. So here's something you can say. I know you don't fully trust this yet, and you probably think I'm crazy, but I respect you and I need you to trust me on this. I truly believe this will change our family's future. I'd love your support, but I'm doing it either way, right? So just trust yourself, and if they push back, you might get a little pushback, right? It's uncomfortable. But most people, they really just fear what they don't understand. And their doubt is really not a reflection on you, but so that's why I want you to, see if you can show them some back office, show them a little bit of results, show them results of maybe people in your community. That's going to be okay. So moving forward, even though they may not approve, I love you. I love your support. But whenever you believe, I'm sorry, but whether you believe in this or not, I'm moving forward. I trust myself and I hope you can trust me too, right? These are things that you can say that really just, again, are loving, but put the boundary there. Like I'm doing it, because I want you guys to understand this is your choice. And I think this is a big problem in entrepreneurship is, families and friends and that don't support us and it just becomes uncomfortable. So then you can also do like the worst case bet versus best case scenario for them if you're still having a hard time. Worst case, listen, I don't make a dime with my new online business, okay? But I gain character, I gain skills, I got grit, I got confidence, and some risk tolerance, maybe, right? This is things you can say. If it doesn't work out, listen, I can go back to driving Uber or wait tables and I'll be right back where I started. No harm, no foul, right? So that best case, it could be life-changing. You could make your first 1,000 online. It could lead to 5K, then 10K, then 20K months. You could all end up in like quitting your 9 to 5, all in all. So I like that kind of worst case, best case scenario if you have to say those things. But fortunately, Tom's been very supportive and thank you, honey. I appreciate you. But yeah, it happens, guys. Okay. It happens a lot, especially in this space, especially online, because people think everything's a scam, right? So the last thing is this is part of two, don't let your fear steal your future. Okay. So don't let their fear steal your future either. So many people never really step into their full potential because, they never really build the business they were meant to build. They never make the impact they were meant to make, and they never become the person who they were meant to be. All because they let like their opinions of their family and their friends' doubts and their family's doubts hold them back. Right. So they really allow the fear and the criticism and the judgment to just silence their dreams. And that does not have to be you. So that's a second mindset shift is learning how to stand up for yourself, trust in yourself, and do it in a loving way that is respectful to your family and your friends, right? Okay, number three, stop waiting and take action. Money loves speed. And I like this too. Okay, so act. Action changes things. I like that. Action changes things. Act. Successful entrepreneurs, guys, they make decisions quickly. If you keep saying, well, I need to think about it, or this is a good one, I need to pray on it, right? We love that. But when we take it outside of ourselves, it ends up being kind of coming an excuse. Like we just end up procrastinating the whole time. Watching more YouTube videos is not going to launch your business. Reading more books is not going to put money in your pocket. Okay. Taking action will. Yes, you want to spend some time doing a little research. Absolutely. Right. But if it's been months, and you still haven't taken action, you're still thinking about it, it's just plain safe. But safety, as we know, isn't growth, and nothing changes until you do. I know we heard that a lot. I know it's almost overplayed, but it's so true, right? So set a deadline for your research, do what you need to do, but then act. Action changes things. Thinking about this, just thinking about it is costing you money, right? The more you spend on your lifestyle and you aren't earning any more money, you're spending more money and you're losing money when you could potentially making more money. And I love that Latasha brought this into our Rise and Thrive in one of her Latasha Unlocked sessions. And I hadn't heard of it before, but probably a lot of you guys have. SMART goals, right? So setting goals. This is part of, taking action. SMART, being specific, right, with your goal. Be specific about what you want to achieve. Ask yourself questions about the goals, following the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. What am I going to do? Who am I going to do it with? When am I going to do it by? Those kind of things. Is it measurable? That's the M. Make sure that you can measure your success, right? We talk about looking at your data all the time. Not all the time, but once in a while. Make sure you're on the right track. You'll be able to track your progress by answering questions like how you will when you I'm sorry, like how will you know when your goal is complete, right? So those kind of things. Setting small goals like, listen, I'm just going to go live twice a week, that kind of goal, and you can measure that. Is it achievable, right? Ensure your goal is realistic and achievable. Don't set yourself a goal that's just way too easy or too difficult to complete, right? Because if we're all like, I'm just going to I don't know what a too easy would goal. Something that doesn't challenge you enough, it's not going to make you want to. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm achieving my goals. But a goal needs to really challenge you a little, enough that you feel a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Okay. So looking at your current situation and make sure that you have what you need to achieve. And then R, is it relevant? Set yourself a goal that's relevant to you. Is your goal worthwhile to you? Are you the right person to achieve it? Is your goal applicable to the current situation or is it unrealistic, right? Some people are like, well, I'm going to make $20,000 this month. And if you're a brand new beginner digital marketer, that's probably unrealistic, okay? It takes time, okay? And the last, time bound. Assign a start and a date to your goal to encourage yourself to reach it with a deadline. I think that's really important. Think about what you can do today, tomorrow, months from now to achieve your goal. So SMART goals. I really, really like that. And thank you, Latasha, for bringing it into our group. And then she had another one on heart goals, which are similar but different. And we should go watch that one. It's really good. Okay, number four. Number four, I bring this into Rise and Thrive because Dr. Joe Dispenza is someone that I really, really follow, and his work is so incredible, especially in the entrepreneurial space, because it's really about just what it's saying here, breaking the habit of being yourself. Okay, so if you want to rewire your brain to act differently, to think differently, to act, it just use what I just said, act differently, you really need to create new pathways. And we can do this, but it's based on our behaviors and our habits. Because generally, what we do is we just wake up every day and we do the same thing every day, and it's like we're on autopilot and nothing really changes. And guys, there's a ton of books out there that are going to help you with breaking the habit of being yourself. This is the one I just really, really like because there's so much science behind it. And I really love that he teaches a lot of manifestation with meditation. But again, it's all part of, being in the same like prayer and intention. There's nothing unspiritual about this. Okay. It's very open to everyone. Some people are kind of turned off by that, but he really makes sure that it's based for everyone, every culture, every religion. That's why I like it. So there's little things that we can do. And you guys, you can get this book on Amazon or you could do like Audible. Okay. There's little things that you can do every day. And some of those things are kind of weird, but it is, again, how to create new habits. Start brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, brush your teeth with your left hand. I know it seems silly, but the more we do things that are out of the ordinary or that our brain doesn't know about, or that we're not used to, we are actually creating new neural pathways in our brain so that our brain starts to think differently and act differently, and we can be open to new possibilities, which is what we want when we're an entrepreneur. Okay, we got to think outside the box sometimes. Sleeping on the other side of the bed, switch sides with your partner, or sleep on the right side if you normally sleep on the left side. Again, it's going to trick your brain into thinking differently. Drive a different route to work. If you always have the same route to go to the grocery store or to work, do a different route. Okay, because again, that's going to change the way you do things. You're going to start creating these new neural pathways. So these tiny shifts really do break up the autopilot mode and train your brain to embrace new ways of thinking and just making it easier to take bigger risks. Okay, so growth equals change. We've heard that before. I'm not going to get too far into this because this is just, planting the seed, but I wanted to share a video that I made because there's a little story that I think really goes hand in hand with this, especially when, you're, how do I say this? When you are creating your lifestyle and you're creating the dreams and creating the life that you want to have, we really have to imagine ourselves already there, right? You've heard that before, where you think about creating the future, creating the vision that you want to experience, right? So when I was a little younger and I was following Dr. Joe, I did a lot of I get meditations, I went to his retreats, and I did a lot of his work, and I still do. But one of the things I did was teach my son on how to manifest little things or how to at least start thinking about changing our life. And this really folds nicely, I think, into being the entrepreneur envisioning the dream, envisioning the lifestyle we have. So I thought I would play the video just because I did it well on TikTok and I think it's easy just to watch it. So I'm gonna bring up that video and then we can listen to it, okay? Where is it? I think it's this one. Okay, let me play it. If you're a struggling digital marketer or just trying to make money online, stick around because I want to share a story about mindset and intention that could change the way you approach your success. And here at Uplift with Amy, I believe in sharing inspiration. Okay, so listen closely. The other day, my 18-year-old son, he was cleaning out his room and he stumbled across something that sparked a big reminder about the power of manifestation. Okay, it's a true story that really highlights the importance of what you believe is possible. Let me give you a little backstory though, okay? When I started to learn meditation, one of the exercises we did was manifesting like small objects like a coin or a $2 bill. And the key wasn't just visualizing the object. It was about truly feeling the emotions you'd have when you found it. You know, I got pretty good at it and I even taught my kids how to do it. So back then my son, he was around 10 years old. And as you know, the kids, they don't have mental blocks like adults do, or so we think. One day he said, I want to make some money. And I said, okay, well, why don't you manifest it? I explained the technique, you know, visualize it in your mind's eye and then focus on the feeling of finding it. He started small and he focused on manifesting a $5 bill, you know, really feeling what it felt like to have his hands on it, you know, and sure enough, a day later, while walking home from school, he found a $5 bill on the soccer field. He was thrilled, okay? So after that, I encouraged him, okay, now try for a $10 bill. He followed the same practice, you know, he saw it, he felt the excitement of it, and just a couple days later, my in-laws, they asked him to rake the leaves, and they paid him $10, totally unsolicited. He was so excited, again, seeing how all this was working. So naturally, he's going to go for a 20 now, right? So he did the exercise, closing his eyes, imagining the feeling of holding the $20 bill, and even imagining the smell of the cash, okay, and what he wanted to buy with that 20. I kid you not, a few days later, he found a $20 bill on the ground at the arcade. He was over the moon. I pushed him to go a little further. I'm like, go for the $50 bill, I said. But this time he hesitated. He said, Mommy, that's too much. He said, I don't think I can do that. $50 is a lot. But I encouraged him to give it a try, reminding him that it's no different than manifesting the smaller bills, right? So he did the exercise again, but this time something was off, right? He couldn't fully believe it. He had a mental block, and guess what happened? A few days later, as he was walking home, he looked down at the bus stop and he found something amazing. He found a quarter of a $50 bill. Guys, not the whole piece, just a torn off quarter piece. And that, my friends, is the power of belief. He didn't fully believe he could manifest the whole 50, and the universe gave him exactly what he believed, a part of it, but not the whole. So why am I telling you this? Because how you think and how you feel about your goals directly impacts what shows up in your reality, okay? Whether you're trying to manifest money or success with your digital products, it all comes down to this. Your vision sends the thought out into the universe, but it's the emotion, your emotion, the feeling that brings it to you. My son didn't fully believe in the $50, and the universe responded to exactly what he was open to, a partial manifestation. And this is why it's so powerful, guys, okay? If you want success in your business, you need to believe that it's possible, and you need to truly feel the emotion of that success as if it's already happened. So if you're ready to start seeing success in selling your digital products, guys, practice this technique, right? Visualize it, feel it, and watch how your reality changes. And then let me know in the comments how this works for you, okay? Follow me for more uplifting advice. And if you're struggling to sell your digital products, guys, I go live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm more than happy to help you, or just DM me, okay? I want to see you succeed. It's never too late to start uplifting your life. If you're a Okay, let me stop that share for a second. But okay, so I'm back. So that was a good story, right? And I know it was a little long, but I thought I did a good job sharing it on TikTok. But here's the quarter of a 50. It's the same here. We keep it to remind, well, to remind him and to remind me too, that it's like, you know, it is really powerful. And so when you use the word universe or God, they're interchangeable, guys. Okay, it's still the same. But isn't that an interesting story? I mean, it's so true and it's so powerful because if you don't honestly believe that you can achieve, and you only believe you can achieve part of it, well, that's what you're going to get, a part of your success. So I'm like, go big, achieve big goals, believe big goals, and feel them, because when you feel them, that's when things start to shift. That's when the needle starts to shift. And sometimes, and I said it the other day, we kind of have to a little bit fake it till you make it. Not in the sense that, you're lying, but when you show up every day, you have that emotion of already being successful, of already being that person you want to be. And that we do these called like walking meditations, and I mean, your eyes are open, but you're walking as if, and that really does help in shifting the mind. So this is part of why I share that. Okay, so let's get back to the presentation. And I'm going to close that part down. Okay, so rewiring your brain for success. I highly recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is awesome. Okay, number 5, you're already an expert, guys. So stop saying you're not. You're not I say that nobody's an expert. And if anyone says they're an expert, then run. But I think a lot of us deal with a lot of imposter syndrome, right? But you don't need to have all these fancy titles or years of experience to share value. And that's something I think that holds us up a lot. Think about it. Have you ever recommended a product to a friend or your mom or your dad or your cousin, right? You probably have. Have you ever given advice to someone younger or someone older? Have you ever helped somebody solve a problem? That's part of being in digital marketing. You're sharing, you're helping, you're giving value. Sharing your journey, share what you're learning, right? Share what's working for you. The only difference really is you're getting paid for it. So just remember, there's a lot of value in that. So this imposter syndrome, it's kind of a lie. And that's why I say that, because, you may not be making the 6 figures yet, but you've maybe made $100, or maybe you have made $1,000, or you've made some kind of money online, and it's okay if you haven't yet. But even if you've made a little, you're still showing someone else how to make their first 100 or their first 10 or their first 50, right? So to that person, you're still the leader. And that's what we're here for. We're making more leaders. And honestly, I don't think there's enough leaders in this space. When you become the leader, people respect that. And I'm not saying again that you're the expert, but you are just one step ahead, right? So, I've said this the other night, instead of saying like, I have it all figured out, you can say, here's what I've learned so far, right? And confidence really comes from taking that action, right? You don't wait until you feel confident to start, guys. Okay. You start and the confidence builds and follows. I think Jamie Kay told us that here in our Rise and Thrive. Confidence is not a trait, it's a skill. Okay. You have to learn it. You don't come out confident. Well, some do, but generally you have to learn it. Okay. So stop waiting, start messy, and just do it scared. I know it's not fun, but once you get over that hump, it's going to get a lot easier. So just start. Okay. Again, number 6, mindset shift of an entrepreneur. You don't lack resources. You lacked resourcefulness. Okay. This was Tony Robbins' quote, and I thought it was very relevant. It's not about a lack of resources. It's about a lack of resourcefulness. Okay. So successful people that on top, people that have made a ton of money, the people that you look up to and aspire to be, they don't say, oh, I don't have the money. They say, how can I get the money? Right? Who do I need to connect with? What skill can I learn to solve this problem? And I went to a couple of his events, and he would talk about, people sleeping in their cars just to attend the event because they couldn't afford the hotel. I'm not saying to do that, but this is the kind of resourcefulness you can need to lean on, right? Be a problem solver, not an excuse maker. Let's think about it. What's one creative way you've solved a problem, but you didn't have all the resources, right? I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't have the money. What could I do? You could sell things in your house, have a garage sale, right? I do that with my son all the time. He's 18 now, but he has a job. But if he needs something, he started selling his Pokemon cards, and he actually made quite a bit of money because a lot of them were worth a lot. So that's something, and you probably don't have Pokemon cards, but you get what I'm saying. Be resourceful. Okay. Number 7, overwhelm means growth. Okay, so a lot of times we feel lost, we're confused, we're very stretched, right? It's very overwhelming, this space. It can be. And I say that's good because if you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, that means you're on the right track. It's just like when you go to the gym, okay? So if you exercise and you work out and you stretch your muscles, you know what it's like to be sore. Okay? Those of us who work out, we don't go, oh, well, I guess it's not for me. I'm really sore today. I'm done. Maybe some of us do, but generally, when we get sore, it's like, okay, this is good. It means our muscles are growing, right? So the same happens in the business. So when you challenge yourself in the gym or you challenge yourself in business, you don't go, it's too much. It's just because you're growing. So you have to think like that. Discomfort is growth. So getting uncomfortable or getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, just like going to the gym. Okay. So, what's one thing in your business that feels very overwhelming right now, right? Is it sending newsletters out? Is it going live every day or every other day? Is it just going live, period, right? Those are the things you need to focus on. If it's feeling uncomfortable, it's good, but that means you got to focus on it. So I always say, just again, part of Joe Dispenza's work too, and Tony Robbins, and I'm sure all the other mindset leaders out there, do something every day that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. Whether it be like talk to a stranger, when you're in line at coffee, hey, how are you? Like just to break the ice, okay? Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but then you get used to it and your aura opens up and your heart opens and you're actually just a pleasant person and you're different because you're changing your habits and your behaviors, right? And here's a lot of the fun ones. Go live on TikTok if you haven't done it yet. Guys, I encourage you to do it. Once you get over that hump, I promise you it gets easier. Okay. Another really fun one, it's hard to do, but I do it occasionally, is take a cold shower or do a cold plunge. If you've never done one of those before, very invigorating. No, they're not fun. But again, your body gets used to it. Your mind, the neurons in your brain, the neural pathways in your brain get used to it, and you start to crave it. Or you go, you know what, this feels really good. And it wakes you up. It invigorates you. Like it's a really a test to your body, but I recommend it. Again, just little steps and things you can do. Okay, number 8, find a mentor. A one-on-one mentor. That's the fastest way to succeed, guys. Okay. So I have a mentor. I hope you have a mentor, at least maybe in your community, you have mentors, right? Like mentors accelerate your success by guiding you. Okay. They're keeping you accountable and helping you avoid costly mistakes. And again, I use the reference of being at the gym, right? You can take a general fitness class and get results, but if you had a one-on-one personal trainer, they're going to tailor a plan specifically for you, correct your form and push you past your limits, right? I don't have a trainer. I need one. I know I do. I tend to go too easy, but that's the difference a mentor can make, right? It really can accelerate you. And I like to use this one as an example too. The helicopter pilot. Maybe you guys have heard me say this before, but if you wanted to get your helicopter license, okay, let's say you did, you could learn it on YouTube. You could probably get like one of those simulators and, read all the books, and you could probably learn, and I doubt you'd get your license, but you could probably learn in a year how all the stuff you need to do to get your helicopter license. But I have a feeling no one would get in that helicopter with you because you haven't had the experience, right? But if you had a licensed helicopter pilot that helped you build the skills and you flew with him and you got the confidence, you'd get your license in a much quicker time and you'd feel the people would probably most likely get in that helicopter with you, right? So that's what I'm talking about. A mentor helps accelerate your progress. So same applies to business. If you want to go fast, get a mentor. They'll guide you, they'll hold you accountable, and they'll help you reach success in a fraction of the time. So if you could have a mentor in one area of your business, what would that be? What would it be? I think for me, it would probably be somebody that could just keep me accountable every day. I think that was for me. I mean, I'm usually pretty good, but generally I need that person to just to check in with me every day. And I know we have people in our group that we lean on a little bit. So you guys, we could do that, accountability partners. So think about that. Okay, we're almost done. Number 9, fear is the path to freedom. We talk about this a lot, fear. I heard this the other day and it was from Matt Jameson. He's one of our community members and he's one of our Save Club leaders, and I really appreciate him. Fear, face everything and rise. I like that because I think the other one was like, what was it? I can't even remember, FEAR something, and I can't remember it right now, but this one I like better. Okay. Face everything and rise. If something scares you, it's probably the thing you need to do, right? This is part of number 8 too. Challenge yourself daily. Afraid to post your first video? Do it today. Okay. Even if it's not perfect, maybe you're scared to raise your prices. If you have your own digital product, do it, okay? Because it shows your worth, okay? You're scared to invest in yourself, take that leap. Whether it's a course, a mentor, a new skill, fear and success, they really do go hand in hand. And I don't know if I'd ever sit on this little restaurant in the sky. That's pretty scary to me. I do it. I'm not really afraid of heights, but I think if I have nothing around me like that, I think I'd be a lot more afraid, but maybe that's what something I need to do, right? The more you lean into fear, the more fearless you become. I really like that. Okay, I remembered it now. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Have you guys heard that one before? I like that, but I like this one better. Face everything and rise, and it goes with rise and thrive, which is perfect. So, again, what's one thing you're scared to do in your business, but you know you need to do, all right? Think about that. All right, number 10, there are no guarantees, guys, and that's okay. So again, if anybody tells you that you're going to make this amount of money in a short amount of time, please don't follow that. Don't follow that person or don't buy from that person because that person is lying. They don't know. They're telling you what you want to hear. And you need to understand that, again, no diploma is going to give you a job. We know that. No business guarantees success. Life itself has no guarantees, right? But we need to try. So, the only guarantee is if you do nothing, nothing changes, and we know that. So, would you rather take a calculated risk and fail or never try at all? I think I'd rather try, right? So number 11, this is the last one. Take extreme ownership of your life, you guys, okay? Because this is something I see a lot in just people that aren't successful, okay? And we're all guilty of this at times, but remember we talked about peaks and troughs and, maybe we dip a little bit, but it's how long do we stay there? That really determines our character. When are we going to come back up? Because your past is really not your fault, but your future is your responsibility. And I love that. I love that. Your past may not be your fault, but your future is your responsibility. Okay, so maybe you did grow up in poverty. Maybe you had abusive parents, God forbid. Maybe you fled a war or you faced, really unimaginable hardships. None of that is fair. And I don't wish that on anyone. Okay, none of it's your fault. But the hard truth is that if you let that past define you, you give up your power, right? You instantly become the victim. And I'll tell you this, victims cannot be victorious, right? So the moment you say, I can't succeed because of what happened to me, you've already lost. And I hear that a lot. Well, I have this going on, or I have this going on, or, I did this to myself, or I have pain, and I know all that stuff comes up, right? But if we keep talking and speaking that into our existence every day, then it becomes part of who we are and our personality. And it then again, it dictates a lot of our behaviors, which is why I say go read Dr. Joe Dispenza because we want to break that habit, right? So once you say, you've fallen into victimhood, you've really handed control of your life to circumstances you can't change instead of focusing on what you can control. There are things that you can control in your life, right? Like the choice to be happy, the choice to think positively. And then yes, it's okay. We're going to dip occasionally. But again, how long do you stay there? That is what determines our character. Maybe I've heard this before, single parents, or they're stuck in a 9 to 5 and they hate it. You might be facing a lot of challenges that you don't understand, but the choice is always yours. We can either make those excuses or make progress. So even if it's just like one little thing a day that you change from yesterday, or one little thing that you do every day that's going to push you a little bit more forward, whether that be creating a TikTok or learning a new skill online, like learning a little bit of how to use your chat GPT or how to do the AI, anything that's going to push you forward or take a step outside of that comfort zone. That's what we're talking about. Reading self-help books, reading those kind of self-empowerment books, right? Most people, I heard this last night in our Save Club training. Most people who graduate high school, I don't know the number, I'm going to throw it out there, but it was really high. It was like 90% of people who graduate high school never read a book again in their life, which I think is so crazy. So bring in books that empower you, that help you learn about how to overcome hard times in your life, how to, inspire yourself, inspire others, any of that. I love all those books, self-improvement books, self-powering books, how to become a millionaire, all those Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Oh gosh, I'm not even going to name them all, but you guys know them, I'm sure. And there's a list, I'm sure, too. You could look online. Okay. So take extreme ownership of your life, okay? The mindset shift that changes everything. Here are things you can say. I'm in full control of turning the situation into something better, right? Instead, catch yourself. Instead of saying like, I can't, I like, what else is possible? I say that a lot. What else is possible? But you can use these. I'm in full control of turning this situation into something better. It's no one's responsibility but mine to change my future. I refuse to let my past dictate my success. Okay, so put these on your fridge, put them on a post it, put it on the mirror, somewhere where you can see it. Not that you just forget it, but look at it and let it sink in. Okay, so your circumstances, they don't define you, your choices do. So take extreme ownership, guys, and watch how fast your life changes. All right, so I always leave with a question, what's one area of your life you need to take more ownership of, right? I think for me, it's eating healthy. I need to eat healthier. I need to take time to eat healthier. I did start, but I do spend a lot of time I run lots of businesses. I've got my Etsy shop. I've got this. I've got Save Club, and digital products. It's a lot. I need to take ownership of creating more balance, eating a healthy diet. I am exercising more, which is good, eating more protein. But there's little things in your life. And is it business? I think so, because the healthier I am in my lifestyle, it helps me focus more on my business. So getting enough sleep, right? All that stuff matters. Drinking enough water, taking care of yourself. I really believe that health and wealth, they're only off by one letter, right? Wealth is health without the W, right? So think about that. They really do go hand in hand. If you could be the wealthiest man in the graveyard and that does nothing for you. So focusing on your health really does coincide nicely with your wealth, okay? I think that's it. Okay, final thought. You t- will you take action or stay stuck? Okay, I love this picture. In fact, this picture is what inspired me to do our little Rise and Thrive logo, which Tom created, which is awesome. But this is the picture I had. I like it. Helping each other. Most people never reach their potential because they let the fear, the doubt, and the opinions of others hold them back. And that's what we talked about, our family and our friends, right? They stay stuck, they never build the business they dream of, and they never make the impact they were meant to make. Okay, we are impacting others when we are online, guys. We are influencers. We are impacting whether you think it or not. A lot of us think, oh, nobody cares what we have to say. They do. Okay, people are watching on the outside. You have no idea who's been watching you for a while. They may not be commenting, but they're watching. Okay, so let's not think like that. So let's continue to stretch and grow and help one another become the leaders, because again, I think we don't have enough leaders in this space or in the world really, right? So becoming the leader, again, you do not need to be the expert. You're just a little step ahead of everybody else. And that's what leads to sales, is when you guide people and you take them on that journey, or you lead them, you are the bridge to the final point that they want to make, or the lifestyle that they want to have, right? And you can guide them. So you are the leader. Okay, so thank you everybody who came and watched today. I appreciate this. This will be loaded in the classroom for everyone. And like I said, we are going to be gone. I am not out of communication though. I still will be posting content. I might pop in and out of the community. And like I said, Latasha Unlocked will be Mondays while we're gone, but we will be back like August 20th, I think is our next one. It's in the calendar on a Tuesday night. And I might not post the quote every day. Okay. It's gonna be a nice little vacation, but we are gonna be recording content and stuff. So you can watch us on TikTok. And maybe I'll share some of the TikToks here in the community. Okay. So guys, thank you so much. And I really appreciate all the support. And keep bringing people in, guys. This is how we support one another. All right. So have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful rest of your evening wherever you are, and see you soon.